Hey everyone, and welcome to What Did I Miss? Where today I have a very interesting story about the future of Paramount Studios, the company that produces Star Trek, which is that the executive team at Warner Brothers, who also produce the streaming service Max, are in early discussions to merge their two companies. This comes after it was revealed earlier this year that Paramount would likely be looking for a buyer, given the fact that they are unable to make a dent in the streaming service wars with their option, Paramount Plus. So first I'm going to discuss the story, and then I'm going to talk about which franchises would likely be affected by this merger if it were to happen, and how this would affect one franchise specifically, Star Trek. This story comes to us from Axios, which revealed earlier this week that David Zaslav, the CEO of Warner Brothers, has had meetings with the executive team at Paramount to discuss a merger between their two brands. Any merger would need to happen in 2024 due to a stipulation that Warner Brothers agreed to when they finalized a similar merger with the channel Discovery earlier this year. Currently, Warner Brothers is valued at about 3 times as much as Paramount is, so any merger would basically be a buyout by Warner Brothers and result in a lot of firings. This would also almost definitely lead to the end of the streaming service Paramount Plus, as Warner Brothers would want to absorb whatever programming they're able to and increase their own catalog. The article specifically mentions that Warner Brothers would like to acquire all the children's programming on Paramount Plus, which would help change the perception of Max being for adults only. There would also be an opportunity to combine the CBS News network with CNN, which would create a global news powerhouse for the company. While both companies have seen some success with their streaming service options, neither is expected to make a profit in 2023, nor have they made any strides in the streaming service wars since their inception. It is no secret that Netflix and Hulu are still gaining more viewers than any other service, and with Disney owning both Hulu as well as their own streaming service Disney Plus, they have become an almost insurmountable opponent for smaller options like Max and Paramount Plus. There are also the streaming services Amazon Prime and Apple TV that, while not being as big as the others, are backed by large tech companies, which allows them to operate with a larger cushion than any other streamer, including Netflix. However, combining Paramount Plus with Max would create a Frankenstein-like entity with varied options for viewing, based on the different types of content that this new service would be able to offer. This would also, in theory, increase the amount of viewers for this one service and make them a viable threat to Netflix in the ongoing streamer wars. While perhaps not as successful as other studios, Paramount still has a lot of franchises currently in production that would potentially gain even more popularity with this merger. Besides Star Trek, which I'm going to talk about in depth in a second, Paramount also owns the rights to the Transformers, Mission Impossible, Indiana Jones, Top Gun, Terminator, Beverly Hills Cop, and many more. They also own the rights to animated properties like SpongeBob SquarePants, Kung Fu Panda, Shrek, and How to Train Your Dragon. Combining all of these with their programming on Max would definitely entice a lot more people to spend money on the service, especially since Max is not known for having much family-oriented content or content designed for young children. So let's talk about one of the properties that would be given a new life by this move, and that is Star Trek. I believe that this would be the absolute best thing that could happen to Star Trek right now, and this is why. Paramount has made it clear that they want to either sell their properties to a new service or do a merger like this one that I've discussed with Warner Brothers. So until this happens, anything under the Paramount banner is going to be hindered until a move is made. Star Trek in particular is one franchise that seems to have been in a holding pattern for the past couple years, since the company announced that they had lost their latest director for the 4th Trek film produced by J.J. Abrams. In 2022, Paramount decided to cancel both Star Trek Discovery and Prodigy while their current seasons were in production, and at the time stated they would not even broadcast the final season of Prodigy, and that Discovery would need to reshoot part of their last season in order to complete the series. Since then, Netflix has purchased the rights to air the first and upcoming second seasons of Prodigy, which could be a hint at things to come. Even with all the bad news, there's still a lot going for Star Trek that would be very appealing to a likely suitor. First of all, Strange New Worlds has been a huge success for the franchise as well as the company, with the series appearing in the most watched Nielsen rankings for multiple weeks during its second season, something that only one other series on Paramount Plus had done up until that point. Due to the writers and actors strike, the show's third season will likely be delayed until 2025, but even still, it will probably be one of the most anticipated new seasons of television that year. Section 31 is a new film starring Michelle Yeoh that just went into production and will also likely be released in 2025. That film, which is scheduled to be released on streaming and not in theaters, could mark a new beginning for Star Trek, as this is the first Star Trek film not to be given a wide release. Since this will be a new chapter in the franchise, it would make perfect sense to distribute the film on a larger service like Max, where it has the possibility to be seen by even more people. If Max is really concerned about gaining a younger fan base with this merger, then the new series Star Trek Starfleet Academy would also seem to be perfect for that initiative. This series, which is in pre-production with plans to begin filming before the end of 2024, is specifically being created to attract a younger audience, as this series is meant to show what it's like to be a new cadet at Starfleet Academy. There is also the fourth film in the J.J. Abrams saga that I mentioned earlier. If Paramount does decide to merge with Warner Brothers, this may also be a good time to end that saga and move on to a new chapter in the franchise. While most fans would love to see Chris Pine as Captain Kirk again, along with the rest of that crew, it seems almost impossible at this point, as it has now been almost 8 years since the last film in that series, Star Trek Beyond, was released. It makes the most sense at this point to look to the future of the franchise instead of looking back, and with Strange New Worlds, Section 31, and Starfleet Academy, there is a lot to build on. There's also the animated series Star Trek Lower Decks, which is going into its 5th season and has developed a devoted fan base that would love to see the series continue on for many years. While this news is very preliminary, it is exciting and I believe a preview of what is to come in 2024. Even if Paramount does not go through with this merger with Warner Brothers, they are going to have to do something in the coming year to keep the company from going into the red any further. Paramount Plus, along with Max, are never going to be able to topple the giants in the streaming wars like Netflix and Hulu, and they do not have the large bank accounts that Apple and Amazon do to support their services even when they are not profitable. Both Warner Brothers and Paramount have already consolidated other smaller streaming services like Nickelodeon, Discovery, BET, and Showtime into their own, so it makes a lot of sense for them to combine all their resources so that together they can make a profit. I also believe that a move like this would infuse a lot of excitement into the future of the Star Trek franchise and act as a jumping off point for possibly the most successful run in the franchise history. But this is all I have for today. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything. Also, thank you for clicking on this video, and please do not forget to like the video and subscribe for future ones. My name is Eric, and I'll see you next time on What Did I Miss?